My name is Maya, and my story is about the darkest chapter of my life. The chapter where I discovered my boyfriend's shocking confession and how that revelation reshaped my understanding of love, trust, and self-worth. Looking back, I wish I had seen the signs earlier, but when you're in love, it's like you're walking through life with rose-coloured glasses, blind to what's right in front of you. I met Josh 2 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. He was charismatic, easygoing, and made me laugh in a way I hadn't in years. We hit it off right away, and within months we were inseparable. I thought I'd found my perfect match. But then things started to change in subtle, almost unnoticeable ways. Little remarks, strange looks, things that, at the time, seemed harmless. In hindsight, they were the first cracks in a perfect illusion. It all started one night when Josh invited me to a game night with his friends. His best friend, Sam, was there. Sam was, well, let's just say he was the complete opposite of Josh. Quiet, reserved, and almost too polite. He had this aura of mystery around him, and I'll admit, there was something intriguing about that, but I'd never thought about him in any way beyond casual friendliness. That night, though, Josh kept making these weird jokes about how Sam and I should get along better. I laughed it off, assuming he was just trying to be funny, but his comments grew stranger and more suggestive as the evening went on. At first, I thought Josh was just trying to include Sam, who seemed like the lonely type. But after a few more drinks, Josh made a comment that stopped me cold. He looked at me a little too intently and said, "Wouldn't it be exciting if you and Sam, just for fun?" I froze. I didn't know how to respond. I glanced over at Sam, who was staring down at his drink, looking just as uncomfortable as I felt. I brushed it off with a nervous laugh, hoping it was just the alcohol talking, but Josh continued to bring it up in small, insidious ways over the following weeks. It started as a joke, then became a hypothetical scenario, and eventually a not-so-subtle suggestion. One night, I finally confronted him about it. "Why do you keep bringing this up, Josh? Do you want me to cheat on you with Sam?" He smirked, his eyes flickering with something unsettling. "Not cheat, Maya," he said, leaning closer. "It's not cheating if it's allowed. I've always thought it would be interesting to see you with him. Just once." The words felt like a slap. I pulled away from him, feeling a sick twist in my stomach. "You're serious?" He nodded, and for the first time, I saw a side of him I'd never known existed. He wasn't joking, and he wasn't drunk. He genuinely wanted me to be with Sam, and he wanted to witness it. I felt betrayed, but I also felt confused. Why would he want something like this? Wasn't I enough? And why Sam, of all people? He sensed my hesitation and put his hands on my shoulders, looking at me with a pleading expression I'd never seen before. "Come on, Maya," he said softly. "It's just a fantasy. I love you. This is just something I think could be exciting for us." In that moment, I felt like I didn't know him at all, but against my better judgment, I didn't break up with him. Instead, I tried to brush it off, telling myself it was just a phase or a strange curiosity he'd eventually drop. I was wrong. Over the next few weeks, Josh grew increasingly obsessed with the idea. Every time we went out with Sam, Josh would make suggestive comments, pushing the boundaries until I couldn't take it anymore. I finally told him to stop, but his response left me speechless. "If you won't do this for me, Maya," he said with a chilling calmness, "maybe we shouldn't be together." It was like a punch to the gut. Here I was, thinking I'd found someone who truly loved me, and now he was threatening to end our relationship over some twisted fantasy. I felt humiliated, like I was nothing more than a pawn in his game. One night, unable to sleep, I decided to call Sam. I needed to talk to someone who understood the insanity of it all, and Sam was the only other person who knew. When he picked up, I could hear the hesitation in his voice, but he listened patiently as I poured out my confusion, my hurt, and my anger. "I don't know why he's doing this, Sam," I whispered, fighting back tears. "It feels like he's testing me or, I don't know, trying to push me away." Sam was silent for a long time before he finally spoke. "Maya, there's something you should know. I've known Josh for a long time, and this isn't the first time he's tried to push someone he loves into situations like this." My heart sank. I didn't want to believe it, but the more Sam explained, the more everything started to make sense. Josh had a pattern, a history of manipulating his girlfriends into compromising situations, only to break up with them afterward, claiming they weren't adventurous enough for him. The next day, I confronted Josh, hoping he would deny it, that he'd tell me it was all some misunderstanding, but he didn't. Instead, he just shrugged and said, "Maybe you're not who I thought you were, Maya." Those words were like a final blow. I realized then that he'd never loved me, not in the way I'd thought anyway. I was just another person he could mold, manipulate, and discard when I no longer fit his twisted ideals. That was the end. I left him feeling broken and betrayed, but also relieved to finally be free of his control. The scars he left behind took time to heal, but with every passing day, I grew stronger, learning to trust myself again, to value myself for who I am, not for someone else's fantasy. Looking back now, I can see that Josh taught me a painful yet valuable lesson. Love should never demand you compromise your self-respect. True love doesn't seek to control or manipulate. And if someone asks you to change, not because it will make you better, but because it fulfills their desires alone, that's not love. That's just selfishness in disguise. So to anyone out there who's been made to feel like they're not enough, who's been asked to compromise their values for someone else's fantasy, let my story be a reminder. You deserve someone who values you for you, not for what they can make you into, and never, ever settle for less.